All right, so this is one that I actually have a lot of experience with and is close to my heart because I love fish. I just sat by the creek for a few hours today and let them feed on my feet and all the stuff around it. And they don't really feed on your feet. You kick up dust and they feed on that. But my parents also used to own a bait and tackle shop, which I don't talk about a lot. There's a lot of trauma there. My dad was a hunter, trapper, fisherman, forced me to trap. A lot of trauma there that I don't like to get into. Being a kid who is very much in a loving space and having like trapping it, of all the things I've ever done and seen, trapping is absolutely the worst experience you can have if you love animals, because they don't die when they get trapped, and some pretty vicious stuff has to happen. So the question was, is there, and I don't remember the exact way it was phrased, but essentially, is it okay to fish, use live bait, and to do things like catch and release? I think is kind of where it was leading. And that may not be the full question, but I'm going to try and tailor it towards that is where I'm feeling. So, first of all, you are allowed to do anything that's of your highest excitement. It's the whole Bashar thing that he always talks about, of your highest excitement. Always make sure it's of that. If you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling wrongness around something, you shouldn't be doing it. It's not of your highest excitement. And a lot of you waking up are going to start feeling that around fishing, hunting, trapping, those types of things, because it's not of a love frequency. Fishing is not of a love frequency. Now, when I say this, I want to be clear. I do not disagree entirely with fishing, hunting, and those sorts of things. Some people need to feed themselves. Some people need to do it to survive. And if you're doing it to survive, I'm all for it, because that's part of your survival. That's part of how you need to live off of the land. And I'm just going to shut my door here because I forgot it was open and the light is on. So I haven't figured out how to turn the lights off on the Subaru front doors that come underneath it when they open. So ADHD types of experiences. I don't subscribe to the label, but I get distracted, as you know, watching my reels. And so if it's not of your highest excitement, it's not going to work for you moving forward. When it comes to fishing, this is a thing that if you are fishing to feed your family, you're catching the fish, you're keeping them, you're honoring them, you're feeding your family, you're using every part of the fish for different things, and you can use every part of the fish. That to me is okay, provided that is what is meant for your lifestyle. However, if you're doing catch and release, the way I describe it is, imagine giants caught and released us and hooked us in the mouth, drug the hook, cut it, or hooked us in the neck, or hooked us down a vertebrae and had to yank it out. If you've never fished before, catch and release is one of the most horrifying things you can experience. But humans don't see it that way. It's only when you become a love frequency and start actively working from a love frequency that you see these things and you're like, oh my God. You can see fish with hooks in their eyes, scars all over, like they've been through a war zone. That's not a love frequency. So that's the key, the two keys I would say. Are you acting from your highest excitement, which most of you moving into a love frequency are going to find out that things that harm animals are not of your highest excitement anymore. It was okay when it was. Don't be guilty. There's no shame in it. You didn't know. You weren't of that frequency. You didn't know. I have no guilt for the things I experienced when I was a kid, fishing and trapping. Luckily, I didn't have to hunt. Hunting was the one thing my dad couldn't force me to do. And that was because guns were involved and I refused. But he forced me to trap, and that was, I still have memories of the sounds, the screams, the smells, I can't even describe it. That's the most horrifying thing I've seen from a human standpoint. And then fishing was a constant. And I have some really cool fishing stories and those types of things, and have seen that stuff, but I have no guilt for what I did when I was trapping, fishing, and doing those other things, or when I was a little kid with a magnifying glass burning anthills and wasps because they cracked and popped and sounded cool. That's what you do. That's what kids do. That's what people who are not in a loving vibration do, is that they do those things that do not actively seem like they're out of line with that love frequency. Now, have no guilt. Remember that if it's of your highest excitement, there's no judgment. I'm not here to judge you for doing it. I'm not here to say that it's right or wrong. I'm here to say that I don't feel for my reality that it is right for me in my experience. It is up to you and your experience and your frequency and what you feel is right for you. 2, do you need to feed your family? If you need to feed your family, that's what nature is there for. We're here to eat plants. Animals are here to help provide. We're actually not carnivores. As much as people want to say we're carnivores, we are not carnivores. We do not have the mouth of a carnivore. We do not have the teeth of a carnivore. We do not chew the way a carnivore does. We are herbivores with slight omnivorous aspects to our biology. That doesn't mean you can't eat meat. I want to be clear about that. This is whatever's for your journey. But part of our existence is to be provided for by nature. So are you feeding your family? Are you honoring the animal? Are you ensuring that the animal that you are taking does not suffer? Hunting is like a crazy thing that the animals suffer for that. Like, deer have to be tracked for miles with bullets in them and stuff. Like, that's not, a humane thing. But if you're doing it to feed your family and ultimately honoring the animal, the meat, the vibration, respecting every part of it. I know people who hunt and do those things and fill their freezers. And I have I have nothing against them at all, because I know what they do with those animals. And in their reality, that's how they feed their family. That's how they live through the winters in places that do not have wide accessible food, like very country places that city people who've lived in a city can't even fathom the idea that there are still people in the world, in our country, who do not have food access and have to live off the land. And so this whole idea of like, don't do that, don't eat meat, don't do this, situational, is very situational. But are you honoring the animal? Are you honoring the meat? Are you honoring the vibration? Or are you just doing it for fun? If you think about it, doing it for fun is very low vibrational. Hurting something for fun is a very low vibrational act. It's not from a loving act. Fighting with something for fun is not a high vibrational act. Unless there's an agreement. There's a difference. Very clear difference. Like if you're a warrior, which we have many of those today, MMA in that, there is a difference when the warriors are fighting and know they are fighting and know and are in agreement to doing that, and it's of their highest excitement. There's a big difference to the vibration of that fight. Even though the act of violence is still kind of a lower, not loving heart space type of thing, there's a big difference in vibration and what happens, frequencies and all that, when it's in agreement versus just going up to something and harming it for fun. Big difference. But don't be guilty. There's no guilt, there's no shame. It's part of life. It's how we were programmed and grown to live. So I have to leave it there right now. Let me know if you have questions. Love you all. Grateful for each and every one of you.